Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the vlog for marketers, bloggers, business owners and those of you taking your skills into the digital age. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke and this vlog is brought to you by Digital Trading Institute.
JSB Talks Digital.
I started off my career as a broadcast journalist on Highland Radio in County Donegal. I always wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to get paid to tell stories and to write stories. So ultimately I ended up on radio, which I absolutely loved. However, after Highland Radio, I left journalism and I left the microphone, which was my home for 3 years. So 2016, I decided to get back behind the mic. I had been listening to business and marketing podcasts for about 18 months, and I realized that with my skill set, podcasting should be easy for JSB. However, I don't have a lot of time on my hands to take up extra projects, or in this case, a new content marketing product. So I decided to get some help, and that was the secret of me making my podcast dream a reality. So earlier this year, you know I'm based on the campus at NUI Galway. I went back to my old hunting ground of Flirt FM. That was the radio station that I started my illustrious broadcast journalism career on. And I went back to the station manager and asked if JSB could have JSB Talks Digital and some studio airtime once a week to record my podcast. I also reached out and asked if they had an engineer that would be willing to produce the show with me and also edit it and wrap it together. And that's when I found Owen. So in June of 2016, I recorded and published the very first episode of JSB Talks Digital, the podcast. We are 28 episodes in. It's at the end of the year now, and I absolutely love my hourly trips to studio to record the podcast. And because of the time of year that we're in, I decided that we would have a Christmas special. And oh my, what a Christmas special it was. So have a look at what I got up to, along with Paul O'Mahony and Jenny Brennan at the studios of Flirt FM, and see what happened when Santa Claus joined us from the North Pole. Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the podcast for marketers, small business owners and those of you taking your skills into the digital age. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke and this podcast is brought to you by Digital Trading Institute. Coming up in today's show, I ask my special guests, Jenny Brennan and Paul O'Mahony, how social media has changed their lives, why Santa Claus has embraced social media and how it's changing his life. So let me introduce my guests who are sitting pretty on my left and right side. So I am thrilled to have my original and now my real life best friend, Jenny Brennan. You're welcome, Jenny.
Thanks, Joanne. It's lovely to be here.
I'm also joined by a man I've heard so much about, but I've never met. So I'm taking a little bit of a risk and bring him into my podcast on my Facebook Live.
You are.
For the very first time. But I'm thrilled to have you, Paul O'Mahony, the Paul O'Mahony, on JSB Talks Digital. You're very welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Jenny, let me start with you. You are wearing your Agora Pulse t-shirt, and 2016 was a really big year for you. But tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about Jenny Brennan.
Yeah, sure. This is the second time I've been on your podcast, actually, so I feel very honoured, Joanne, to be here, especially in the studio as well, and see what goes on behind the JSB brand. Very impressive. I am Director of Inside Sales at Agora Pulse, and Agora Pulse is a social media tool platform for agencies and for companies all over the world managing multiple social media channels all in the one place. So everything from interactions that are happening with your brand directly to your reporting, engagement, everything that we know that's important in order to keep your visibility out there and build relationships.
So you took up the role this year of Director of Prospect Happiness?
Yeah, that's what they call me, Director of Prospect Happiness. I'm the person, I suppose, at the front line who meets with people, and I always kind of liken it to, if somebody was to call to my hall door, I would open the hall door and give them a cup of coffee and have a chat about Agora Pulse, and that's how I do my demos with people all over the world. So the internet has allowed me to work from Clonbur in County Galway and deal with people, as I say, in the United States, all across Europe, who are looking for social media solutions. So it's really fantastic.
So Paul O'Mahony, I have been chasing you down on Twitter for 3 months. Yeah,
Stalker alert.
trying to get you on this podcast. Yeah, but you've always been too busy. Okay, usually in a different country every time that you respond to my tweet, but you're very good at responding. You're in Galway, and I didn't even know that you lived in Galway.
I know.
I could have gone across the bridge.
I was afraid to tell you. I was afraid. So yeah, and I quit my job. 3 months later, my biggest problem was I couldn't choose what business area to get to focus on, and I'd never been in business before. 9 years of comfort of kind of corporate environment, which I enjoyed, I have to say. So I had signed up for 3 different programs to learn about how to make money on the internet. Hadn't really done anything with them until I woke up mid-July 2009 in a sweat, saying this faking it until you make it doesn't really work unless you have something to back it up. So I missed all that bit that Tony talked about, like learning things, adding value, helping others. I skipped all of that. I just planned on faking it. On the first night of the workshop, he said send out some tweets and put in a link to a product, and it was a software actually that flashes up your personal goals on the screen every 5 seconds. It's called Subliminal Power. It was so fast that you don't really see it.
Was this somebody else's product?
Somebody else, absolutely.
So was this like an affiliate link?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So it was, and the problem was I went to the coach and I said, well, that's fine, but I've never sent a tweet. So I just kind of show you where I was at. I just had pressed follow 14,000 times. That was about it. He said, well, I'm not going to tell you how to write a tweet. Figure it out for yourself. So I sent out a tweet, and I remember I was staying in my aunt's flat that her rental flat in Arundel, two hours outside London, so I couldn't actually afford a hotel. So I got up the next morning, checked PayPal, and for the first time ever in PayPal, I saw positive numbers, $44.20.
Nice.
While I slept. I was like, oh my God, I need to sleep more. That was my first thought process. I'm making more money while I sleep than while I'm awake. So that was kind of it for me. I couldn't believe it. The thing about it was I was kind of pitched as the person in the audience who actually did something and started making money. So people, even at that event with Mark, he had lots of multimillionaire speakers, but once they heard about my $45, they said, I want to learn from him.
Yes, they related more to you.
Exactly, because if he can do it, I can do it. I still try not to let that affect my ego, but yeah.
Santa Claus, are you still on the line?
Oh, I'm still here.
So, what did you think of Jenny and Paul's stories?
Well, aren't they good boys and girls, huh? Ho, 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 ho.
So, Santa Claus, no offence to my beautiful other guests on my left and right, but I have had sleepless nights waiting for this interview with you. How are you and Mrs. Claus? Are you stressed, or are you feeling you're feeling good?
Oh, we're okay. We're very busy. It's our busiest time of year. It's all fun.
Tell me, I've been studying your social networks, of course, doing some research for the show. And on Facebook, you have 946,194 likes on the Facebook page North Pole HQ, and on Twitter at Official Santa. I think Paul O'Mahony might have more followers than you. 413,200. He's got more. Okay. So you've been experimenting with Facebook Live and GoPros. How have you found social media for your business, Santa?
Oh, well, yes, you're right, my dear. We do have a lot of followers and we do have a lot of likes on our pages, our social media, and social media has really changed the way Santa does his work and the way we communicate with people. I am now able to see boys and girls from behind being good from not just my Robins, but by their mummies and daddies' postings about how good or bad their behaviour has been on social media.
And Santa...
But I suppose most of all, I love being able to share updates from our work here in the North Pole. And we record videos with the elves, the reindeers, of course, and me reading letters, and Mrs. Claus keeping the house going. Shh, I mustn't say that. I also love to read all the messages I get on Facebook and on Twitter from everyone right across the world.
Thank you for tuning into my Christmas special, either on this podcast or on Facebook Live. If you want to read more about what I've discussed on the show, log on to digitaltraining.ie and click on podcasts. I'll have links to everything there. Thanks to my guests for joining me on the show, Jenny Brennan, Paul O'Mahony, who now I've finally met. You're okay.
Thanks.
You're a good guy. And of course, Santa Claus. A big thank you to Owen. Have a look at Owen. Pan the camera there, Cormac. A big thank you to Owen, who produced, and to Cormac, who is behind the camera. He can't pan to himself. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke. You have been tuned into JSB Talks Digital. And let's end with my favourite Christmas song, because guess what? It's my show, and I've always wanted to play a tune. Okay? So this is my opportunity. Owen, let's go out with some Wizard. Happy Christmas, everyone.
JSB Talks Digital.
Give me a like, subscribe, and get JSB Talks Digital, the vlog, every Monday morning in your inbox. And please do share with your friends. They'd really appreciate it.